Norman Lear was the first person that got me. I mean, I was playing jacks with his daughter. Norman says to my dad, you know, this kid is really funny. My dad said, what, that kid? That kid, he's a sullen. He sits quiet. He doesn't, you know, he's not funny.
For more than 4 decades, Rob Reiner dodged one question again and again. Anytime interviews drifted toward All in the Family, he praised the writing, the impact, the cultural weight of the show. But he always slid around one name like it was a landmine: Carroll O'Connor. On screen, they were locked in non-stop ideological combat, yelling across a living room that mirrored America's deepest divisions. But off-screen, the silence around their real relationship only made the rumors louder. People whispered about resentment, ego clashes, and tension that never healed before Carroll's death. Then, Reiner finally stopped dancing around it, and what he admitted flipped the entire story upside down. Not just about Archie Bunker, but about himself. The truth starts with the very first collision between Carroll O'Connor and Rob Reiner. When Reiner joined All in the Family in 1971, he understood one thing immediately. This was not a warm, friendly set built on comfort or camaraderie. It was a pressure chamber. The entire show was designed to ignite conflict, and his character, Michael Meathead Stivic, was written as a direct weapon aimed straight at Archie Bunker, played by Carroll O'Connor. Every line Mike spoke was crafted to provoke, corner, and morally challenge Archie. By the time Reiner arrived, O'Connor was already deep in battle mode. Behind the scenes, O'Connor constantly clashed with Norman Lear over scripts, tone, and intent. He fought hard to make sure Archie never turned into a cartoon. He believed that if Archie became funny without consequence, the character would become dangerous. That tension bled into every corner of the set, and Reiner walked right into it without any protection. O'Connor didn't welcome him with smiles or reassurance. He watched Reiner closely during rehearsals, studying him. He would stretch silences longer than written, shift timing on purpose, and fire off lines with unexpected intensity, forcing Reiner to drop rehearsal habits and react in the moment. The on-screen arguments hit hard, and O'Connor made sure they felt real. The insults landed with such force that Reiner later admitted he sometimes wondered if the anger stopped when the cameras did. But the real confrontation happened after filming. O'Connor never raised his voice. He corrected quietly, once telling Reiner, "If you don't believe what you're saying, the audience will know before the laugh track does." That moment changed everything. O'Connor wasn't looking for obedience. He wanted resistance that could actually stand up to Archie. Reiner realized surviving on that set meant meeting O'Connor's standard, not dodging it. That was the night Carroll O'Connor reshaped Rob Reiner. By the time All in the Family reached its 8th season, the battles between Archie Bunker and Mike Stivic had started to feel automatic. They argued because that's what the script demanded. Archie threw insults, Mike fired back with moral certainty. The audience laughed, agreed, or argued at home, but nothing really shifted. Even Reiner later admitted the fights felt circular, loud without movement. Then came the episode Two's a Crowd. On paper, it was simple. Lock 2 characters in one place, save money, fill time. Archie and Mike get trapped overnight in the storeroom of Archie's bar. A bottle of liquor shows up, time slows. What should have been another shouting match turns into something heavier. What most viewers never knew was that the emotional core of the episode wasn't written at all. Carroll O'Connor had been holding something back for years. He built Archie's inner life quietly, knowing if he exposed it too early, the character would lose its power. When Mike finally asked, "I don't understand how you get to feel this way about people," O'Connor knew the door had finally cracked open.
Instead of dodging the question, Archie answered it head-on for the very first time. He spoke about his father with loyalty, not anger. He framed physical punishment as discipline, confinement as education, cruelty as love. In Archie's mind, the man who taught him how to throw a ball and held his hand on his first walk could not possibly be wrong about the world. So, if his father believed certain people were dangerous, Archie believed it too. To reject those lessons would mean rejecting love itself. Later, Carroll O'Connor explained that moment in simple terms. The poison got into the system, and it was passed down. It became Archie's inheritance. This wasn't an excuse for prejudice. It was a diagnosis. Reiner instantly understood that. Instead of firing back with politics or debate, he shifted Mike's behavior. He stopped arguing. He listened. He let silence sit heavy in the room. When Archie finally passed out, Mike gently covered him with a blanket. That wasn't in the script. It was a choice. And from that moment on, everything changed. Mike stopped fighting Archie like an enemy to be crushed. He challenged him as a wounded man shaped by fear he didn't invent. The shouting didn't vanish, but the meaning behind it did. Hatred softened into understanding, and that understanding made the conflict human instead of hollow. The truth about Carroll O'Connor hit Rob Reiner hardest after All in the Family ended in 1979. O'Connor walked away carrying Archie Bunker with him, and the public never let him put the character down. Letters poured in accusing him of racism. Others praised Archie like a hero. Many assumed Archie and O'Connor were the same man. Reiner watched all of this quietly, and for the first time, the imbalance felt wrong. He knew what Archie truly represented. He knew the hatred was inherited, examined, and deliberately exposed. He also knew O'Connor personally despised everything Archie stood for off-camera. In real life, O'Connor was reserved, almost shy. He skipped Hollywood parties, chose books over crowds, and spoke with careful precision. In interviews, he described Archie as a man who never smiled and never had a kind word to offer. He explained that bitterness wasn't chosen, it was passed down like a sickness. That understanding reshaped Rob Reiner's entire career. As he fully stepped into directing, O'Connor's influence became impossible to miss. Stand By Me explored how childhood trauma silently controls adulthood. A Few Good Men examined how authority teaches obedience long before morality steps in. Reiner later admitted O'Connor taught him something vital. You don't lecture an audience into reflection. You let characters expose themselves, and judgment follows on its own. That lesson stayed with him forever. Despite decades of rumors, Reiner was always clear about their bond. We didn't fight off camera. We had enormous affection for each other. That affection wasn't loud or performative. They didn't chase headlines together. It lived quietly in trust. When Carroll O'Connor died in 2001, Rob Reiner didn't rush to explain their history. He already knew the truth had been there all along, buried inside the work. He chose silence, believing the work spoke loud enough on its own. Only later, with age and distance, did Rob Reiner realize that silence gave space for confusion to grow, and that was something he could no longer live with. At 78, Rob Reiner finally spoke openly about Carroll O'Connor, not with defense, nostalgia, or performance, but with clarity. There was no need anymore to protect myths, polish legacies, or soften truths that once felt too heavy to say out loud. Time did what interviews never could. It stripped everything down to its core. What remained was responsibility, a quiet but firm need to finally say what had gone unsaid for decades.
Reiner now understands that Carroll O'Connor devoted his life to one of the most dangerous jobs an actor could ever take on. He chose to embody hatred so truthfully that it could never be confused for virtue. Even knowing millions would misunderstand him, O'Connor accepted the risk. He knew some viewers would cheer Archie Bunker instead of questioning him. He also knew others would blur the line between character and man. He carried that weight anyway, believing that exposing ugliness honestly mattered more than being liked. "He was one of the kindest men I ever met," Reiner said. "People thought Archie lived inside him. He didn't." That single sentence carries decades of pain and truth. For years, Reiner watched audiences laugh at Archie's cruelty or attack O'Connor personally, never seeing the emotional cost of holding that illusion together. O'Connor rarely defended himself. He didn't explain Archie. He didn't correct the narrative. He trusted that time and the work itself would eventually reveal the truth. Only now does Reiner fully grasp how lonely that choice was. To be hated, praised, or completely misunderstood in silence, all for the sake of the story. Looking back, Reiner admits his fear on the All in the Family set was never about confrontation. It was about failing Carroll O'Connor's standard. Every pause, every silence, every improvised moment carried a quiet test. Was it honest or was it easy? What once felt like unbearable pressure, Reiner now recognizes as mentorship in its purest form. O'Connor never demanded loyalty or praise. He demanded truth, real truth. Reiner's final realization is simple and devastating. Carroll O'Connor carried America's ugliest character so others wouldn't have to. He absorbed the hatred, confusion, and moral discomfort, and he did it without becoming the man he portrayed. So what do you think? Was Carroll O'Connor misunderstood or perfectly understood just too late? Drop your thoughts in the comments, and if this story caught you off guard, like, subscribe, and stick with Silent Stardom for more untold truths behind television's most dangerous legends.